Here's a few quarterbacks to drop heading into Week 14. The first guy's Carson Wentz, with the news coming out that Jalen Hurts is going to be the starter now in Week 14. This is an obvious drop of Carson Wentz. And Wentz, he wasn't doing much for fantasy teams now over the last 3 or 4 weeks is Wentz. And they benched him in the second half of that game versus Green Bay. And now Jalen Hurts, they're giving the rookies the keys to the starting job. And Wentz, he's been horrible the last few ball games in fantasy anyway. He's owned still in 60% of fantasy leagues, but he's going to be dropped a ton now going into Week 14, and there's no reason to hold on to him. I could see Philly even cutting Carson Wentz after the season. They got Jalen Hurts in the second round. They're giving him a 4-game rehearsal now to see if he can handle the starting duties and be the starter next year. So Carson Wentz in Philly, his era could be over there. He got a $100 million contract, but the Eagles, they're going to probably cut him loose, and fantasy owners definitely should here heading into Week 14. The next guy's Tua Tagovailoa of the Miami Dolphins. Tua here came back after having that thumb injury, and he played pretty decent versus a weak Cincinnati Bengal team. 296 yards, a passing touchdown, and 3 yards rushing. So Tua, 21 fantasy points that came out to for him. But Tua, he's not getting many touchdowns, but I was surprised to see him get this many yards this week. But that was in a good matchup, and now he's going to have a tough matchup in Kansas City. They're going to feast on him. We saw him have a good game versus Drew Lock and the Denver Broncos was the Kansas City Chiefs. I think Tua is going to have a tough time versus Kansas City. Then he's got New England. And this guy, he's a guy I really can't use or start in many leagues. He's going to be droppable this week, and he's a guy I can't really count on because he just 1 or 2 touchdowns and not many yards, even though this week he produced, isn't going to get the job done. And the third and final guy, this is only if Drew Brees is coming back this week, is Taysom Hill of the New Orleans Saints. He's had some good fantasy performances in the last few weeks and coming off a great ball game versus the Atlanta Falcons with 232 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 83 yards rushing and a fumble loss. So Hill, he took advantage of a great matchup versus the Falcons that give up the most fantasy points to quarterbacks. And Hill, though, this week he's at Philly. It's going to be a great matchup, but if Drew Brees comes back, which reports are saying he's healing better and quicker from those fractured ribs, then obviously Hill's going to have no value unless you're in a dynasty league or something. So if Brees comes back, you drop Hill. If not, Hill's a guy you ride out to until Brees comes back. So that's a few quarterbacks I'm going to drop here heading into Week 14.